Looking for a new looter shooter? Well, this brand new looter shooter looks to mix the best of Destiny and Division into a single game. With the looter shooter space not in a great spot at the moment, and fans of the genre looking for something new, this could potentially be a perfect time to strike. As promised, last year when we covered Project LLL for the first time, we said we'd keep you up to date when any new information dropped. So recently, at the G-Star 2023 event, we got a brand new gameplay trailer showcasing and expanding on a bunch of the gameplay systems, such as the missions, abilities, and even the massive mech suit. So let's go through all of these details, give you a little recap of the information we have so far, and we'll let you know what we think of the new footage, if it's any better, and what we think of the game as a whole at the end of the video. So if you haven't seen it before, what is Project LLL? Well, it's an open-world, massively multiplayer online third-person shooter, and the publisher of the game is the renowned MMO publisher NCSoft that has published games like Guild Wars 2 and the Lineage games. With both of these franchises now aging out, they are looking to build up brand new IPs to take their place in the MMO space, especially for a combined console and PC market. While we don't have a solid release date for the game just yet, it is scheduled to release in 2024, meaning we will probably be able to get our hands on it soon, as they might have a beta run before release. But in the developers' words, LLL is a sci-fi game, but it can be seen as a game that falls under a subgenre of alternative history. It takes place in a world that started with the idea of the history we know progressing differently due to particular events in the past. In LLL, a devastated Saul, the 10th century Byzantine Empire, and the 23rd century are all blended together in the same lore. So it's an interesting setup, but what would be your perfect MMO? What does it need to include to make you happy? A lot of recent MMOs have been a bit of a miss, so tell us what you're looking for down below. We have already got to see some cool stuff in the previous announcement trailer, like abilities in action with stealth, rocket barrages, and so on, but this time we got to see more variety in the game, showcasing a more polished product. The start of the trailer kicks off with two characters talking in a place that we are assuming is a space station orbiting around Earth. We then get to see one of the characters spawning in, which looks like it could be one of our player characters due to the screenshots that were released alongside the video, and shows the class menus being displayed at the same location, as well as the loadout that you will pick. And for these loadouts, we can actually see that you will be able to pick from a variety of different weapons and gear. The gear system will allow for us to have up to 3 different weapons equipped at one time, and in the trailer gameplay, we got to see some of them in action, such as rifles and a shotgun that all seem to have their own unique attachments. But weapons aren't the only thing that we will be able to equip. We know that there will also be a full roster of abilities, and we got to see some of these in the gameplay as well. These abilities look more like something you would see in Destiny, and we got to see a bubble shield and a shield wall that look very similar to the Titan's abilities in Destiny. In the gameplay, it shows that the player will be dropping in from the sky via a drop pod that we got to see early on in the trailer, and we know that we will have access to thrusters that will aid in that deployment, as well as traversal, and personally I love drop pods in games, so I was very happy to see this. But since we are on the topic of traversal, something that is highlighted is that we will have access to a helicopter that we can use for transport, adding to the growing list of vehicles, as we get to see the player is able to hang on the outside of the helicopter and shoot from it. But this isn't the only vehicle that we got to see in the new gameplay, as we also saw the mech in action again, which is looking very Titanfall inspired, as it has a battery, a rocket barrage, and twin chain guns. Something that we felt held the Division back was the lack of variety in the environments, but for LLL it looks like they are fixing this, as they will have dense forest locations, city-based areas, and all of the really cool sci-fi spaces that we've seen so far. We also got a small glimpse into the time of day system and the weather system, meaning that the game will have night and rain, adding into that variety of the environments, which is key for games like this to stay interesting. While we haven't been told much about the gameplay objectives that we will be completing in Project LLL, during the gameplay we got to see some objectives, as when we use Google Translate we can see that players are currently tasked with Operation Twilight, where it says remove activation commanders to find the torch of the underground parking lot, and removal of the Orc commander from the helicopter. And with a game like this is definitely the type of objectives that we would expect to see. Hopefully they can add in a bit of spice to these objectives though, so they don't become too generic, as the normal go here and clear out enemies isn't a super engaging task. Also, one of the more notable changes since the previous gameplay trailer is the improvement to the performance of the game. As during that last trailer there were visible drops in performance, but now it looks like they have fixed this and the performance is looking very good from this gameplay, which is a welcome change. But that being said, this trailer also could be presented in such a way to make the performance look good, so we are reserving judgment there. Though it isn't fully demonstrated in the trailer, we did get to see some co-op gameplay, and from the looks of it, we will be able to have 3 persons in a fire team within the open world to complete these objectives. For those of you wondering if the game will have any PvP elements in addition to the PvE co-op stuff, it has been previously confirmed that the game will feature both open world PvE and PvP, but there haven't been any further elaborations on this. But what has been elaborated on is the sci-fi elements that go deep with the game, as Project LLL won't just feature warring human factions, but also alien creatures that honestly look pretty epic. In the new trailer, we get to see more of them, and it seems like they are spawned from a root or plant type structure, making the game turn into a more survival horror atmosphere, which is really cool, as again it's adding that variety into the game. But what do we think? It is definitely looking very interesting. We like what they're going for in terms of the overall concept of the game, the amount of variety they're aiming for with their different locations, enemy types, and the different weaponry. It's definitely a positive in our opinion in these aspects, especially considering we have played a lot of different looter shooters in the past, and if they lack variety, they become very repetitive, and that's something that makes us drop playing those games very quickly. So these are all pluses that are making the game look like it has potential, and in addition to that, if their performance improvements are reflected in the final product, then that is another awesome point. However, the game does feel like a bit of a contradiction to us, because while it looks like something new, it definitely has some aspects that look like a generic copy of a bunch of other games that we've already played in the past, with some of them being like Anthem and leaving a very bad taste in our mouth. So why would we want to play a copy of that? Hopefully it isn't like that, but we will need to get our hands on it to really tell, because many games look great in the trailers but don't play great when they actually release. And then there's always the question of monetization. We don't know if this will be pay to win or how it's going to be monetized, but nothing has been confirmed at the moment, so we aren't jumping to any conclusions. All in all, we think the game looks impressive. We're excited to see more and try it for ourselves, but we would like you to exercise caution for this one. It definitely has the potential to be awesome if they get things right, like the different objective variety, the balanced PvP and PvE, and if it has fair monetization. We will have to wait and see. The trailer is definitely looking really cool though, so here's the full thing for you to watch yourself, and then let us know what you're thinking about the game down below.
나한테 임무?
루셀 기억하지?
알겠어. 하지.